Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Melby Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'll hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
Thinking about the Black Bull Swan, right? The whole conversation for the last couple of weeks, and I actually want to go back to see what is an horizon really, and specifically around what is a geometric horizon. So I wikied last night, and I actually came across something interesting on Wiki about geometric horizons. According to, let me just go there quickly and read it verbatim. According to Wiki, a geometric horizon, and then it gives you in brackets, which assumes a perfectly flat, infinite round plane. And then they talk about the true horizon, which assumes a spherical Earth surface. And I thought that's pretty interesting.
So in the
Any
first
thoughts on that?
instance, it describes a flat plane and then describes it as a second horizon. Is that what you said?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. I mean, it's a big problem for them at the moment. I would imagine the rhetoric's changing, and Wiki is one of those things that changes pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think the Globies need to really, really go to Wiki and say, hey guys, when you're reading this information, there's a lot of assumptions and a lot of doublespeak right in that text. I mean, I read it like 1,000 times, and I'm like, what? It's a lot of, if you assume this and then that, and then if you take standard atmospheric refraction into account, then you click on a standard atmospheric refraction and go there, and then you find out that it's an assumed value of X, Y, and then I'm like, okay, so you're assuming that, so none of this is actually real.
It didn't used to say it was assumed. It said it was a measurement.
Times are changing. I'm very proud of that.
Absolutely.
Maybe they have to descend heliocentrism into farce before it can be relinquished. In other words, when everyone sees all the Swiss cheese holes in it, people will have relinquished it of their own volition without rebelling.
Yeah, probably like a slow release.
No, 10th, I can barely hear you.
I think you're right, Nathan. And then all of a sudden they're going to say, we always said it was a model.
Well, there won't be any need. It'll just trickle out of existence. But I don't know.
Really?
I would imagine that would take at least a couple of generations to achieve.
I'd say if there is a tipping point, it'll be the most dangerous time, and human civilization, because you'll have people wanting to silence it, and then people that are angry.
Yeah. So you kind of have to let it play out whilst maintaining the standpoint that we're on a sphere. Let it slowly trickle in through the back channels of media rather than the mainstream. And then given enough time, people will... I mean, it amazes me when the subject comes up how many people know about it at a conscious level now.
Yep, they release it slowly within movies. Like, if you like, and then they normally make fun of us, but they do release it in movies, like small little tidbit here, little mention there.
Yeah.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now.
All right.
Predictive programming, yes, indeed they do. So you can often see how the narrative might change based on what's in movies. But yeah, predictive programming.
Nathan, I just posted 2 slides for you, Master B, on this Horizon nonsense.
Okay.
You see 2?
One doesn't display. I've only got
I
the
know,
one that...
it's weird. I just saw that. Let me see if I can find it again. I'll be back.
Okay.
Before I go on mute again, guys, I'm working. Sorry, I just wanted to say one thing. I appreciate the fact that Nathan shuts people down when they come into Discord and try to just say their own thing, like specifically Rumpus. Nathan, I really appreciate that. The reason I'm saying that is that I've watched the show for years on YouTube, and then I decided, okay, I'm gonna go on Discord and listen to it on Discord. And then at first I was like, hey, why is Nathan just cutting him off? But then I started doing both. So after I was sitting on Discord and listen to the debates and want to interject when I can. But then when Rumpus comes on, he just totally destroys everything. And then when I watch the show on YouTube, I enjoy it far more. So as an audience member, I appreciate that you do that.
When you say destroys everything, what you mean is creates audio chaos in Discord so that any concise, consistent demolition of his point isn't heard. And if it's not heard, it doesn't require responding to. So he can reassert his position. And nobody in Discord will come to his aid and say, hey, you haven't addressed that point, because none of them have heard it.
Absolutely.
It's almost like he believes if he can drown out the rebuttal and be the last one speaking, then it's true.
Yeah. What his name means, Rumpus means a disturbance.
So thank you for that, Nathan. And anybody that says anything about you, I've never, over the last almost 4 years of watching the show, I've never been able to not find what you're saying or what the panel is saying to be lies. I always go research after the show. And yeah, I always find what the panel and yourselves are saying to be what the current rhetoric is. So thank you for that. And kudos, guys. I'll be on mute.
Confuses ballers often, but thank you for the kind words. I really do appreciate it. But when you're concise with the rendition of the Globe rhetoric, often the Globers, I say often, Simon and Dan, will mistake that for you reciting your own claim, as opposed to parroting back their claim to them. And then they'll go about debunking their own claim, telling you that your reference frames are ruined and things like that. But that's down to their lack of understanding of their own claim in the first instance, let alone what we actually say. And when they hear us saying things, they're like, well, I've got to debunk that. It's come out of the mouth of a flat earther. Yeah, that would be me parroting back your positive assertion that we have 2 reference frames to prove we spin. Unfortunately, you're now telling me we don't. Oh, great. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Hey, who was that guy that was just giving you those compliments?
I now can't see because I've got... I'm waiting in anticipation with the Skype screen for 10th
Well,
Man. It was.
whoever he was,
Truth
it
be
cost
told.
David Weiss about $100. So thank you, David Weiss.
You what? I missed that because I was giving his name.
I
Be told.
said whoever it was, it cost David Weiss about $100. So thank you, David Weiss.
I still don't understand
All
what
right,
you're
I
talking
think
about.
I got him up
You
on
understand?
the screen there.
Hold on, 10th. Sorry. What are you talking about? I had David Weiss, $100. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. David Weiss paid him $100 to come on and give you a couple of compliments. So well done. He's our script maker. Don't you know that?
I see. What you're implying is David Weiss, who I humorously suggest is the boss of everything, has put him up to coming on with a script to give me compliments in the face of.
Absolutely.
I see.
Actually, Neil's Italian, and he's just being a Weiss guy.
I see.
That too.
Okay, right.
All right,
So,
you got it, Nathan?
yeah, I have. But which one do you want me to start with? Is that one
I
with
have
Zenith
no
and
idea.
Sensible
Tell me what
Horizon?
you're saying. It doesn't matter.
Start with the one with Zenith then. Sensible Horizon, Rational Horizon, Circle with a man.
Yeah. Okay, so the outside circle is the celestial sphere, imaginary, where the stars are. The inner circle is supposed to be the Earth. The guy there on the top is at the celestial North Pole, which is coinciding with the North Pole, and the celestial South Pole, which is known as the Nadir as well. But look at this. They got the sensible horizon, which is like a tangent plane on the Earth. And then through the equator, they got the rational horizon. Now, why in the world would they call that a rational horizon? Next slide. Eye height, sensible horizon, visible horizon, geometrical horizon, and over the Earth. Do you see that?
Yeah, Rational Horizon. You tell us.
Well, the rational horizon is supposed to be the one across the equator. Okay, so who in the world is even looking at that with their eyeballs? Second, sensible horizon, visible horizon, and then geometrical horizon. Do you see that slide?
Yes.
Okay, so they have all these things labeled horizon just so they can play that game of the horizon with us. I mean, we only have one horizon. So when people go to Wiki and all these different places, rather than labeling these things other than the actual horizon, they borrow the word horizon, which there's only one, where the sky seems to meet the land or sea, and sometimes it changes due to weather, to adding horizon to all other things, thus causing the confusion.
Become a shell game.
Yeah. And then there's another one there you could see where it shows the Earth as blue, surface of the Earth, the observer, and then showing the dip, sensible horizon, visible horizon, geographical horizon. I mean, give me a break.
The next one still doesn't work, and it's one I've used in the past as well. It's from National Geographic about the
I think
geometric
it's a
horizon.
PNG.
It just won't show. It just comes up black.
Yeah,
Weird.
it's a PNG, so it needs a white background, I think. That's why.
Okay. Well, not to worry. I mean, it just shows
it's just
a man looking down
the
at a
same thing.
tangent. But yeah.
Yeah, so they throw out all these horizons, and then Rumpus, who's clever enough, will start using them to confuse people with.
Yeah.
There's only one horizon.
Indeed. When they need to acquire a measurement, they'll talk to the uninitiated about acquiring dip angle measurements to said geometric horizon. When they come here, they'll tell us it's always refracted. It's just a shell game. Nice to catch him
That's
out,
what
though.
it is.
I thought I'd get a load of crap about basically shunning Rumpus for his lies. And the only crap I got was off the panel. The commenters, on the other hand, totally...
That's funny.
Totally opposite. And the guy who spoke earlier sounded like he was almost hinting at a similar vein of context, which was to say, yeah, why should we be subject to lies? Once they're proven liars, I agree. As much as it's entertaining and it's been good listening to you argue with Rumpus, he's now a demonstrable proven liar. And I agree with you. And it was nice reading those comments. Whoever put those comments, you know who you are. Thank you very much. Because I was a bit nervous. You think, well, you know, obviously it's a debate show. He is tip of the spear, as I'm declaring. I've chopped it off, well, some people might be quite upset about that. You go, yeah, but I think it was John that pointed it out at the time. We're in a world of deception. It's hard enough to try and demonstrate what is and isn't real, what isn't truthful, where you have and haven't been lied to have people who are demonstrable, proven liars within the discussion. And Rumpus is now one of those. Now, did I not know all along that he was a liar? Of course I did. But now I'm at the point where I can demonstrate that to the audience with just a couple of clips. And him going, the lighthouse, as he has a little malfunction over his lie. It's like, once it's that glaring, you're like, okay, he is now a demonstrable liar. So as much as he might be knowledgeable, he uses those lies on the less educated in this subject. He did it with us 3 years ago when we were less educated in the subject at the Isle of Man. So he used his superior knowledge to lie. Well, that's not someone I want to be discussing this with anymore. Thank you very much.
Well, you've given them an out. You told them come and apologize and prove what you say you're going to prove, and you can come back. But until then, you're off.
He can't do that. He does that, and he knows it's totally over for him.
Well,
He'll
he
have
said
to
he was gonna
say,
come back.
I admit that, hold on, but in doing that, he's saying, I admit that Earth is not a sphere. He knows he can't come through with that. He
Well,
has to
he
admit
said-
he was lying.
Well, he could follow up with his promise of coming back on Monday and showing something, which he
Not something.
he's still.
Not something.
You missed what I said.
Not something. The show he said he refracted the horizon in. So he
Yes.
said, I've
Yeah.
refracted everything. Well, everything would include the horizon that he drew a tangent to. Now, for it to be a tangent, he couldn't have refracted it. It wouldn't be a tangent anymore. He knows it. And the argument itself is the Black Swan invalidating their geometry. Now, it's invalidated it in practice. And it has been practiced and still is practiced by those maths. So therefore, when practiced, the invalidation that is the Black Swan applies. I'm just shoving it right in his face and he's having to lie about it.
Indeed. That's what I'm referencing. You gave him an opportunity. He didn't take the opportunity and he kept lying. I mean, what more do you want?
Well, he lied about saying he'd refracted everything back in the Isle of Man. I said, go and get me the show, where you refracted specifically the horizon. And when he came back 3 days later, he called me a wanker. That was his response. Because he lied. He didn't have a show number to give me where he did actually refract the target and the horizon with respect to it, which makes no sense. You know, he won't be able to do that because he didn't do that. So now he's, like I say, stammering over his words as he lies. Well, that's it, I'm afraid. What I know Anthony was like, give him another chance. It's like, he had the chance when I didn't call him on the lie. I just challenged him to go and prove that what he was saying was true, which was, I've got a show number. Here it is. I specifically refracted the horizon. I even used Andrew Thomas Young's diagram to tell you that the horizon I was claiming was Earth curves actually refracted, making my maths with a tangent make no sense and debunking Earth as a sphere. But I did do it. Here it is. Now, when he came back on the second opportunity, I asked him, where's the evidence that you aren't lying? And then I called him on it when he just called me a wanker. No, you're a liar. Then he came back again. So that's now opportunity number 3. And he did exactly the same thing, attempted to tell us how he refracted everything. He lied. Now, that third attempt to lie his way out of his demolition of his own claim, that would be Black Swan applied to Isle of Man. When he tried to do that, I trimmed it all out, edited it together with the original videos with him refracting the targets with respect to the horizon. And that's his justification for doing it with his tangent-based geometry. Once I'd done that, that's his third attempt. He then got one last attempt, which was his last occasion here. Fourth attempt, after the lie's been pointed out, several videos have been produced, and he's had 4 occasions where he's had the lie pointed out and said, well, why are you lying? And his only, on the 4th occasion, response was to say, I refracted everything, in quotes. Well, everything includes the horizon, and he didn't. He drew a tangent to it. That's the point of the Black Swan argument. To do the geometry in the first place, you've got to have the tangent to do that geometry. If you haven't, you haven't. That's the end of the geometry. He knows it. To do the geometry, he had to draw a straight line, so he didn't refract, quote, everything. That's a lie. At that point, 4 times a charm. I've given you one more than I would normally. Most people, I'd give them 1. I've got to be honest. You know, consider yourself lucky, Rumpus. For most people, I turn my back on them the moment I know they're a liar. Now, I run a show in this regard, so when Arwin criticises me and says, well, this is just a show, yeah, in some respects, he's right. It is, right? And for that, he's had 4 opportunities to defend the undefensible, which is his lie about Earth curve, which we've debunked with the Black Swan. It's, like I said on the clips videos, it's taken 18 months for them to come to that conclusion after hand-waving it. And then you see someone like Rumpus, oh, how the mighty fall when they have their lie pointed out with the evidence. You know, I keep thanking Katz for it, and I'm less enthusiastic about saying it, but it is still relevant. You know, if it wasn't for Katz bringing out his Blackpool Tower, oh yeah, part of that discussion back at the Isle of Man. You know, it's a nice segue. Loose initially, but then you go, wow, what are they actually discussing? Perspective. Well, back when we were told that we had a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, we were told flurfspective, we don't need that. Quote, maths is geometric. Meaning you need a tangent. So yeah, it falls to pieces, but it's just taken a while for it to loop back. Hence me thanking Katz, because he's the one that's got us there.
Well, when we told them, if I could take look into the past a little bit, when we told them that when they see things disappearing bottom up, it's optical, it's due to compression, it's due to the weather, it's due to distance, it's due to angular size, it's, you know, all the things that that can make something look weird, especially at that from the floor of the ocean in the sense of the sea level, the level side of the sea to the 10% above. They said, no, it's not that. It's not perspective. It's the curve of the Earth. Okay, the curve is going to be physical, is what they were always saying. So when the Black Swan comes out and we say, this curve, by the limitations of geometry, due to the radius value you give this sphere of yours, should be here, but it's not there. That threw them in the willy. So now they're arguing, hey, it's all optical. They've lost. It's so bad for them.
Game over, man. Game over.
Well, they keep talking about the geometric horizon being measured, but if you can, and they also say you can never see it, all in the same breath. Well, if you can't see it, how did you measure it? I mean, that alone knocks them out.
And aren't we lucky that we've got John on the panel to say just exactly that?
Yeah.
You need measurements. It ain't real if you can't measure it in their religion.
Yep.
That's why it's a theoretical construct to begin with. Everything has been a presupposition of living on a sphere with a radius, and they'll use any means at disposal to trick people into that, whether it's Eratosthenes' shadow or Al-Biruni, any of that. But then when you drill down for the nitty-gritty of how and what these things were supposed to be, it all falls apart.
Yeah, be interesting to see who does actually pluck up the courage to come following in people like Rumpus's footsteps. People who actually have some advanced trench level knowledge of how to defend the indefensible of a globe Earth belief.
Well, his, as you discussed with the other gentleman at the beginning of the pre-show, he even nailed it. He says, when I was on Discord versus being on the channel, I could see what he was doing. So his whole purpose for being here is to cause confusion and take away from the point.
Yeah, that's what you've got to do when you fight the losing side of an argument, especially in the face of millions and millions of people thinking that it's the case. The majority of the Western world think they're on a sphere, right? Sorry, who was that?
It's going to be impossible for me to participate today.
Okay.
I was going to say, have you ever seen that movie Troy, where like in the beginning, where Brad Pitt stabs the huge giant in the neck, and then he like screams, "Is there no one else?" at the crowd behind him. That's kind of what happened to Rumpus when he come on to defend against the Blackpool Swan. I mean, it was quick. I don't think the rest of them are in a hurry.
Still, pleased it happened, as I say.
Well, they were punting the globe all along using optical situations to say, see, there's a curve. And now they're forced to say there is no curve, it's just optical.
Yeah, they were using optical effects to say, look, that's geometry. And now they say we do not see geometry. So look at that optical effect. It's... I don't know what it is. It's definitely not geometric earth curve edge obstructions that we formerly claimed were getting in the way of things like the Isle of Man, because we drew tangents to make those claims, and now we can't make them.
Yeah, it's similar to the Coriolis argument in this aspect. When you hold them to their argument on the Coriolis, well, then anything off the Earth's surface should be deviating. Well, they die the minute because it's not. And in the same way, the geometric horizon has limitations due to the radius, and the Black Swan and the Blackpool Swan just destroy it. I mean, just about every long distance picture is a Black Swan.
I forgot yesterday to give John props, right? So I don't know if this is why, but I'll lead you a little bit here, John. Because I assume, because I said, no, this isn't a direct debunking of Coriolis claims. It's a separate, but very good debunking of their trench-level rebuttal to a debunking of Coriolis. Now, that sort of disclaimer from me implies that it's, you know, not really needed. But then, much to my surprise, yesterday or the day before, you forced me into having to have that to hand as an argument, or otherwise I would have been stifled. Not only that, right, because you managed to lead it knowing that you were, until I made your argument you gave me, you were in the winning position through that argument, John. And no, there's very few ballers that could do that, right? But you literally, and because it got interrupted, I didn't get to make your rebuttal as my own. Therefore, when you declared victory at just the perfect moment, when Rumpus comes in, there's a new higher stakes discussion that's going to start. That's when you claim victory. And technically, right, you were perfectly within your rights to, because I hadn't responded to it, right? I hadn't given your rebuttal at that point. So, number one, bastard. But number two, props, massive props.
Well, I didn't think about it when I did it, but I probably should have brought it back up and said, you know, without the radius, that this whole argument has been void.
No, but when you declared victory, it wasn't. So at that point, you got me to say, I was playing along. Obviously, I'd already declared gyro in fixed space so that you could lead on from that. But obviously, we're just battling off each other. We know what's going to happen. But I thought I knew what was going to happen until I was in a position where I've got to get this response in now. In other words, I now need John's, you need the Radians, you need the Black Swan argument to debunk it, to make this have a conclusion. But you forced it into that position. I was very, very impressed. And like I say, the conversation then went somewhere else afterwards, so I never gave you props.
Are you saying it's much like the TV shows or where they cut to a commercial right at the end of something without the other guy being able to respond?
Precisely. It cut to commercial. Rumpus jumped in. It cut to commercial with Rumpus. And rather than like going, well, you know, you should actually be responding to this because I've won, you just said, I've won. Moving on. And for the audience at that point, if you were totally fresh to it, you didn't know anything past flat earth debate, you hear that and go, yeah, he's got him. He's over the ropes, right? The earth and atmosphere spin together. By assumption, it didn't matter at all at that point, the argument, because that wasn't pointed out either. So you've got the assumption, you've got the gyro still working in a reference frame that's away from Earth, space, because it spins in fixed space, so does the pendulum. So therefore you can have the Earth and atmosphere working against standard gas law and entropy and elastic collisions and being velcroed and moving along with Earth. Now, with all those assumptions in place, which they were at the point that victory was declared by John, he's won, right? He's got all of his assumptions in. He's got the fixed space addressed with the fixed spinning in fixed space addressed with his assumptions, and then the conversation moved elsewhere. So he's won, right? that's why he declared victory.
Do you think that's why Rumpus came in?
Could be.
No, not unless he's telepathic.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless he would.
You gotta watch John. John's a sneaky killer.
Oh, he's the best devil's advocate. No offense to anybody else, but I'm glad Albin's not here because he'd take offence to this. But yeah, you're the best devil's advocate we've got on the panel. It's because Ball Earth beliefs as fresh in your mind as it could be. So, you know, maybe that's not the reason. I'm just making that up. But like I say, unless Rumpus could divine your thoughts and know that upon his interruption, you'd actually declare, let's get it straight, Globe Earth victory on that point. No, there's no way you could have known that. So, no, I don't think so.
I kind of regret it though, because like you said, if somebody new to the argument had been watching at that moment, they may have been misled, you know, and I hope that didn't happen.
Oh, don't worry about it.
No, it didn't happen. No, it's just the nuances of debate are great to revisit because you can see the key moments, and this is what Nathan's explaining.
Exactly. You need. I require that for somebody to see the argument take place in the first place. Now, in every regard, if you were a bit more intelligent, let's just say, when I said someone coming fresh, you know, I mean, not only do you not know the arguments, you don't understand logic or logical fallacy, but if somebody was fresh to it and came and did, you know, they'd hopefully pick up on where you beg the question and all those other things. In other words, your declaration by the standards of the Globe trench level rhetoric speakers was a deserved and declared victory in the same way they would declare it. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying you did win, I'm saying that you were, as a baller, as devil's advocate, reasonable by their standards to declare victory at that time, even though I still said bastard. That's why I said bastard, because it's like, well, no, you haven't won, but that is the point that they would declare victory, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's like one of the top 3 ways to win. Right.
That's why it was epic. So it's like, who else could do that on our side? Arwen would have kept the argument going. He'd have probably circle jerked around the point again. But for my taste, what you did was much, much better. Just, you know, don't bother restating your victory. Just take the victory. Even though you haven't won, just take it, because you could, to the standards of somebody that's on your side, have them nudge you and go, yeah, you absolutely railed him. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Neil, 10th man, father of a stolen child, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning, all.
On screen, we've got the "Is there no one else?" as the first slide up. Got disgusting in the pre-show. Anyway, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon, formerly known as Earth curve.
Well, we've been asking for that from the purveyors of that position, and they can't seem to give us anything but optical. They can't give us any curve that boats or buildings disappear bottom up. So they're forced to admit it's just an optical situation now. So what does that mean?
It means that the Globers are now claiming Fleur perspective rather than geometry.
Yeah, I think so. I think they've given up.
Yeah, prior to the Black Swan, it was claimed that you could take a measurement to a physical geometric position to derive your radial value.
Not anymore, Fundies. Black Swan.
So the radial value, the radians, that's the measurement of the arc, right, John?
Yeah, that's your R. The circumference of the sphere is dictated by the radial value.
And before the Black Swan, they said they had an actual measurement.
Yeah, the dip angle.
Oh, the Alberuni, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Alberuni was measuring a dip angle.
And so with a radius of 3959, is that where we get the geometry where if you're an observer 1 foot high, the horizon, geometric horizon, could be no further than 1.22 miles?
Yeah, that's the basis of it.
So if the optical illusion is past 1.22 miles, then that would mean if the globe was true, the geometric horizon would be in front of the optical illusion, correct?
The horizon can't be an optical illusion.
I was about to
No, I
say,
understand.
yeah, you're rebegging that question. You need the geometry in the first instance to beg the question of geometry to place it in a different non-geometric position with respect to a non-geometric horizon. All of those things require the geometry in the first instance.
I know, that's why I did it. That's the whole point. Because right now they're saying it's an optical illusion.
Sure,
And
but
yet-
it's a trap. And Adam apologised to me. I know you've had an earful plenty of times, so I'm not going to do it to you again, 10th man. But Adam was like, well, when I see the maths being done incorrectly, I want to correct the maths. It's like, yeah, but by addressing an argument where it's a claim of incorrect maths when rebegging the question, that's a logical fallacy, not a mathematical error. But you're suddenly into rebegging the question and showing how they've done it wrong. Only within 5%? Well, only within 5% doesn't put it anywhere near what it needs to be for the Blackpool Swan, says Adam. Well, no, because you've now rebegged the question and are entertaining it by mathematicizing it.
Yeah, there's a different reason I did that. It was to bring Rumpus on the show. It worked every time. And there was something, but we'll have to wait for that something.
Rumpus is a proven,
Well,
demonstrable liar.
No, I agree. I'm just saying the behind the scenes of why I do it will be revealed one day.
Fair enough. Speaking of any evidence
We do have
of as we were on the subject anyway.
I'm going to say we do have measurements, but they're of a plane. Even geodetic surveyors say it's a tangential plane, but now the tangent doesn't exist, so we have measurements of a plane.
So is this where people say 20 miles are flat?
Just flat. That's all we got is flat.
Just flat.
Right.
No 8
No, I
inches
know
per mile
that, but-
squared drop from your position.
No, I know that, but why do people say 20 miles are flat?
Because it's flat.
I know
That's
that.
as far as your viewing.
Yeah. Why not 30? Why not 15?
If you just base it on how far you can see, and you can only see 20 miles, I suppose coming to the conclusion that, well, the 20 miles I can see is flat.
Yeah. So if I could see Catalina Island 26 miles out, it's flat. The next day it's a bit, weather's off, and I can't even see Catalina. So it's only flat that far on that day. I forget the day
It
before.
doesn't change. once flat, always flat. It's not suddenly going to start curving, but the optical conditions might change and then make it capable of being put through Earth curve mathematics, and asserted that the optical effect that you're witnessing is actually a geometric effect in orthographic view. You used to be able to make that assertion, but of course that would require a tangent to do the geometric assertion that you're going to make in those maths, and we've debunked that tangent with the black swan.
They're so screwed.
That's the end of the argument. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
It's a silly question after the black swan, but no.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, you need an R for that.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Well, just read their own writings. It's not a force, but you can think of it as a force. And since you can't manipulate the independent variable, it's not scientific.
It's
Anyone
like
else
the
on-
horizon.
Go ahead, skeptical.
Only in the
truth be
map.
told, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, as I said, it's like the horizon. It's only available in the maths, right?
That's actually a Rumpus quote. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. End quote. The Rumpus.
First time he told the truth.
Well, I don't know. People tend to have 95% truth when they're liars. You pop yourself back on mute, truth be told. Getting a load of background noise. Thank you very much.
I mean, think about that confession. The geometric horizon only exists in the math.
Yeah. That's why I like quoting it. So it doesn't exist in reality. Only exists in the maths. Well, no. The one we see is within 5% of that one. But that one only exists in the maths. So it's not. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Black holes suck.
What sucks?
Black holes.
Black holes suck. What's a black hole?
A hole in space and time.
Space and time is a
Well-
mathematical geometry that doesn't exist in reality.
No, not space time. Space and time.
That's what space-time is. Space and time is how they're described. Pseudo-Riemannian for space. Length, breadth, depth, and time. Space being length, breadth, and depth, and time. So space and time is just space-time.
Now you're just playing semantics on me. I meant in space.
Semantics. No, mathematics. It's not semantic. It's geometric.
I hadn't involved the pseudo-Riemannian for space just yet. So
Okay, space
You
and
were
time.
on
Go
your way
ahead.
there.
black holes suck out there.
And how do you know they suck?
You got an event horizon joke or something?
No, I just seen really good imagery of black holes sucking up things. But
You mean that
I don't
donut?
know. It might be that it's rendered. It's like a representation of what it would look like. I'm not sure. They might
You
have
mean the donut?
visuals of it.
Arvin, are you referring to that donut picture that came from data, not an actual photograph?
The donut one? Well, that's like officially classified as evidence for a black hole, but
What
I'm
is a
pretty
black
sure
hole?
there's other sightings as well.
Wow.
Hold on. We've got. Owen's got fond of this. What is it with the old bait and switcheroo that you've used it 3 times in the last 3 shows? So Arwen's now got 2 positions held simultaneously: a description in Einsteinian mathematics of a quote black hole, and a picture of a quote black hole. Right now, those 2 things aren't the same thing, just because one has been labelled as the other. Likewise, you've got a light in the sky called the ISS, and you've got a stage show with Highwire called the ISS. Does that mean that the light in the sky is the Highwire show on TV? No. Well, they say that the same thing. No. Yes, you might be able to see a donut in the sky. Is it the Einsteinian description of a black hole? No. Not at all.
Right, the donut is just the thing that makes the black hole visible.
So he
The
just
thing
does it
about the
again.
black hole is
So he's
it's
just going
black.
to do it again. So you've just done the same thing then.
You must
Sorry, I'm
admit, at
losing
least-
track of my doublespeak. That's what happens when you're a baller.
My
So-
bad. Okay, so the description that they give you in pseudo-Riemannian force space of a black hole isn't necessarily what they hold up as a picture. There's no verification whatsoever that the two are the same thing. One is just a description of something that they've come up with in maths. The other is a picture of something that they've composited from something in the sky. That doesn't make either connected in any way, shape, or form.
But they have a model diagram of what a pseudo-Riemannian force space time-space bending black hole would look like, even universally. Didn't you see the NASA 3D animation they made?
Did you say model?
Okay, if I describe a unicorn fart as being kind of like a glowing donut that comes out the pipe hole of a unicorn, right? And then I mathematicize that into existence by way of a description that matches what I've just told you. And then I show you the donut that you've shown me as a black hole and say, look, that donut matches my description of a unicorn fart, therefore unicorn fart in the sky. No, Owen.
All right. Well, no. I'd say, as a baller, you might be, what is it called again? Having two names at the same time. There's already another name for that. It's a black hole. But you can call it a donut or a unicorn fart if you want to.
Called an equivocation fallacy.
Right. Two names for the same thing.
Yeah, having two descriptions simultaneously.
Right. So, yeah, sorry, but there's already a name for that. It's actually a black hole.
Okay, it's third time's a charm, right? I thought we were moving on.
No.
No, I'm not going to say it a third time. Right. I'll say it a second time for the ISS. Just because there's a light in the sky that gets called, quote, ISS, doesn't mean that what it's described by way of a stage show on the ground on your television screen also, let's just say, coincidentally called the ISS. Oh, what's that, you cry? It's not a coincidence. That is actually what's happening on that light. No, it's not. Just because you say it is doesn't mean it is.
But the ISS doesn't really fall under the field of astrophysics now, does it?
Doesn't
It's
fall
more
at all.
engineering.
That orbital assumption is an assumption. It's not falling. That light that traverses your sky isn't falling around a sphere Earth by way of presupposition. I know you didn't say falling for that reason, but I'm going to slip it in anyway.
They didn't mention orbits. I was just saying that
Falling.
like using the ISS as a comparison to black holes is kind of the wrong field. It falls under space engineering. Ha! I'll use
There you
it
go
like
again,
that.
saying it falls.
No. Oh, that's not a literal. That's not a falling in physical world. That's a description. Like,
Oh, well, orbital
falling
mechanics
under the-
debunked then. Kudos, Baller. You've just debunked orbital mechanics. Not falling, you say. I'm just...
damn you! You're taking my word out of context.
I
That
know,
didn't
I
mean
am.
Falling. That's sneaky.
I do it for fun. You parrot the same thing 3 times in a vain attempt to juxtapose something that is a description of something that isn't real. But you've got a
How
photo of
dare
something
you
else, so
take
that's
my
going to be
words
the
out
thing
of
that isn't
context.
real because of my maths. There's that picture, and the two are the same thing, of course. Just say it 5 more times, Owen. Why not?
Nathan, how dare you straw man me and take my words out of context? That's a baller exclusive ability, okay? Only we're allowed to do that constantly.
Hello, Adam.
Afternoon, Nathan. Afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
I used to take offence to this when everyone on the panel would start playing ballers because I just think they were just wanting to mess with me, give me a headache by the end of the show just by seeing how quickly they could mess with me as a baller. Now I just see it as humorous.
Oh, that's good. I've been seeing it like that for over a year.
Yeah, you've had lots of fun, haven't you bastard? I'm only
Yes.
No, I'm actually joking. Right, where did we get in housekeeping? Molten iron core we covered, Earth curve we covered, axial rotation,
Astrophysics.
gravity. What else?
Molten iron core.
Distance to the sun. Did we cover distance to the sun? I don't think we did.
Yes, you ended up on the astrophysics.
No, we didn't. No distance to the sun.
Yeah, we
I'm
did.
waiting to say it's in the firmament.
You were working.
Over there.
Sorry, what was your first statement? No distance to the sun, Neil. Thank you very much. Moving on.
It's over there.
It's in the firmament.
You
Can't
said-
you see the, hold
I
on.
heard
See
you.
that
In
picture?
the
You
firmament.
don't think you don't
said-
see the firmament there.
In the firmament, you say?
Show that picture again, Owen. You could see the firmament.
Can you? I just see the sky.
Is it?
Just
But is
gotta
it-
look.
But is it within the realm underneath the firmament, or is it literally inside of the firmament? The structure.
Okay. All right. You know what a snow globe is, right? You see the snowman in there? He's inside the firmament. We are, and the sun and the moon and the stars are inside the snow globe, okay?
So underneath.
Nah.
Simple.
So underneath the
Arwen's got a
firmament.
point. Neil, I'll just paraphrase what Neil's been asked by Arwen. So Neil's being asked, that's a bloody good point. If you're saying that the sun and moon, according to the Bible, are inside the firmament, then the firmament, Rakia, is the roof itself, not what's under the roof. So are the sun and moon inside Rakia, the firmament? Because that's what you've just said, and that's what the Bible says, as I understand it.
No, come on. You're taking it the wrong way. There's a roof, and everything is. Oh, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah.
Do you live under the roof or in the roof?
Yeah, exactly, Arwen. Well said.
Under. All right, under the firmament.
And the sun and the moon aren't under it, they're in it, right?
Yeah, they're in it. In and underneath.
Well, paraphrasing the Bible, sacrilege.
It's underneath in it.
Yeah, you're paraphrasing.
Your physicality assumption bias is playing
They
at you.
didn't burn Tyndale at the stake, so you could paraphrase it, Neil.
You just don't know what inside means. I could be inside my house. I'm not stuck to the freaking wall.
You
Depends
don't
on-
Inside
understand.
my house.
It depends what your definition of is, right?
Inside the firmament.
So inside the roof. Got it. Clear as crystal.
No distance.
No, inside of it.
No
Oh, yeah.
difference.
That's the last time I try to
Right.
teach
So
you
like
anything.
like
I'm
a
done.
lamp would be installed inside the ceiling. Right?
No.
No?
That's
No.
installed to the ceiling.
Is it like
You
jamming
say
a
my
sandwich?
light-
Neil?
I don't say my light's inside the room. I say my light's on the ceiling.
If Paula was here, she'd have both me and Arwen over her knee spanking us with the Hebrew.
Yes,
Well,
that's
I'd like
true.
to hear. Well, I want to know, what is it? Is it literally inside, or is it another context of inside from the Hebrew? I'm kind of curious now.
None of us know that.
I used
I
used to
speak
be
for
an
myself. I
electrician.
don't know that. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
I used to be an electrician, and you do actually do installations inside the ceiling. That's where all your connections will be made. That's your actual install. The bolts and everything that hold it there. That's where it'll
And
be.
the wires.
Yeah, and like the sun
Right.
and moon inside the firmament.
Have we got a different? See, putting it, is it like a sandwich inside the sandwich box, or is it like the jam inside the sandwich?
Well, we need to change the question because it was about the distance, as I recall.
Yeah, but Neil ruined it all, didn't he? And now he's having to
Neil's got
pay
a
for
trip
it.
planned.
We don't know. But Neil
Yeah, I
thinks he
think
does.
that's one of. I think that's one of the problems with making claims based on the Bible. It's not to say that I think the Bible's wrong. It's just, how do you know or understand what the people who wrote that know or understood, and do the words still mean the same thing to us that it meant to them?
Well, you have to figure out what they could have meant, and then learn to distinguish. Learn to actually figure out which one is it, which
Okay,
is
right.
the most likely thing they meant, and yeah, go
That
by that.
process,
So
Jeff-
I just spotted a detail right inside the firmament. Is that really like inside of a dome, in the middle of the dome, which could be under the firmament, or is it literally inside of the structure that is the firmament in itself? Right? Which one did it mean?
meant
Or you
inside.
could think that it's none of those because we don't think like them. We're doing our best to reconstruct the language, and all we can do is get something close that we think makes sense in our understanding, but reality probably doesn't match what they were describing in the first place.
Yeah, the like words like Confederate and Union used to be synonyms, but they had a war and then they changed the meaning of the word. So how many wars and how many times have words changed their meanings? Because every time you change
God.
a word's meaning, it affects.
Don't bring up the underneath inside wars. My God.
What?
The underneath inside wars. What's that?
Well, when it used to mean the same thing until this big war broke out in the Atlantean Age, and then henceforth, underneath and inside word separated as words. It could never be united again.
I
Oh,
didn't
on
know
fire.
that.
Okay, so no
I don't know what
distance.
that is.
No distance to the sun then.
No.
Did they fight on the back of unicorns during this war, Owen?
Maybe the firmament is a giant unicorn skin.
You'll never know. Anything's possible. We know it's not a vacuum because that stands in violation of natural law. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
No, it's against violation of gas law.
Rockets couldn't propel if there wasn't. Because it's pressing against the container. Everything that displaces due to gas pressure differential does so because through all the gas, the preponderance of the gas, eventually it presses against the container, causing the object to propel.
That does actually conclude housekeeping. First time in
Did
a
you
while
do
we've
the
got through
R?
all of them.
R?
Yeah, we covered R. I covered it right at the beginning. So, Discord. Any ballers in there? Is it a panel full of flat earthers today? Went through the list quickly.
Yellow, yellow.
Hey, Eli. Clearly, just a panel full of flat earthers. Well, not that
Well,
I'm
the-
on.
Here go those chickens.
The ramifications of the black swan took a few months, but look what it did. They can't argue it, so they finally fell off.
Well, their greatest champion got destroyed in less than a minute, so I don't think anybody else is in a hurry.
There's a couple
The
ballers in
greatest
here.
champion?
Oh, is there?
Who's that?
Yep.
You know, I think
Uh,
when you
actress.
say baller, a baller is somebody who plays ball, not necessarily a glober.
Someone
Glober.
proposed an idea from 24/7 to QE,
Cut.
and I thought it was an excellent proposal to get like new people engaged. And it's because here's how it came about. The guy said his name is Fraud, and he says, "QE, I'll pay you $25 to talk to one of my friends." And I said, "Man, who wouldn't tune in to hear one of the panel talk to like a genuine person?" To me, it's amazing, but I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay. Well, it's an open door policy, so if you can shove your mate through this door, they've got to come through from their own free will, though. No one's forced to be here.
My son won't come back on. I try to get him to come on all the time. You know what his get out is? Flat Earth, this is stupid.
Fair
Now,
enough.
when Scientology has its meetings, like, do they allow people like when the the heads of Scientology are meeting, do they allow people to come in and challenge their positions on things?
I wouldn't have
No.
thought so.
Well, we're not a very good cult if we're allowing people to come here and challenge us. That's just
Good point, John. Good
But
point.
we're all a cult of individuals that each have their separate contributions and can help the others rearrange how everybody's supposed to be thinking, even though nobody truly adapts to that. So we're just like a super dynamic, decentralized cult where we're open for debate, right?
That's like not a cult though. That's pretty much the antithesis of a cult. A cult would have a
Oh,
leader and a unified.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the
That's
people
what's so
would-
funny about it.
Speaking of the word cult, Brian's on the show, is he not? Or he was. He did a good segment on visual occultation and optical drop. Have you guys seen it?
I have. I did see it. It was good.
Very good.
Yeah, Brian's crushing it recently.
Yeah, subscribe to Brian's Logic if you haven't already. He is. I said that. I called that about several months ago. Same goes for Flatsoid. You know, they're just blossoming into really good YouTubers in this topic.
Yeah, just don't talk to him about the Bible.
Hey, Neil.
Oh yeah, we had a great
Hey,
conversation.
hold on a second. I love Brian. Brian's one of my favorite guys, but Flat Earth, he's on it. Don't talk to him about the Bible. That's it. He's not on it there. He's wrong.
Oh, I disagree.
Oh God, let's not turn this into another Bible conversation. If you want to see a good Bible conversation, check out yesterday's show. What was it? 1413, or is that today's show?
Hold on. Why did Owen say that? You disagree?
Be
I
contentious.
think that Brian has a very sharp view on the Bible.
You would because you didn't read it either. So both of you together are talking about a book that you did not read. Done. Get
Really?
mad all you want.
Really?
let's not talk about this.
Yeah.
Not in the show. This is
You claiming authority over me?
Anyway,
I don't think so.
but rather than talking about it in sarcasm, let's talk about it in a real discussion about it, because the globe is a cult. If you want to contextualize it, it's also a religion, a religious belief about what the sky is. You know, it's a sky cult. And you mentioned Scientology. Well, Scientology is merely a branch of heliocentrism. In the same way the Catholic Church is just a branch of Christianity, well, so is Scientology. It's just a branch of heliocentric belief. It's exactly the same in its base assertions. Earth traveling around
and
the
it
sun.
also
Go ahead.
it also has their professors. If you go and challenge them, you'll fail the class. So and peer review. You don't get to challenge their position openly. Everything's done behind closed doors. It's a cult.
Yep. And that cult is a subset of heliocentrism. So if you look at the base of that cult, the base of their religion's heliocentric in nature. Sun at center.
Isn't it funny? Because wherever you see flat earthers like us or anywhere else, we're like, come on, let's have a conversation anytime, anywhere. But when it comes to these other people and places of authority, it's like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, I'll never talk to flat earthers. Like, who's culty here? And there's a segment of the quote unquote supposed flat earthers. Oh, you're not allowed here. Like, these people are religious and culty, not us.
Yeah, it's mad. But they project that straight back onto us, don't they?
Right.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Hey, Brian. We're just talking about you.
we were.
Yeah?
All nice.
Oh, it's out there.
Yeah, no, it's all nice. Talking about your most recent video.
You're
Oh,
the one
yeah.
that I commented on.
Oh yeah. They have nothing there. They have nothing now with that. Absolutely nothing. Even
Yeah,
some of the
those
other
two.
flat earthers are commenting now it's a massive Achilles heel for 'em. But what
Yeah,
they're
those-
doing is they're trying to just whistle past it. One fella tried to explain it away with refraction. You know what I mean? He's using an IR filter, and it's showing the two effects: visual occultation and optical drop. And the globe out geometry cannot explain it. And someone tries to use one or two of them try to use refraction. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's amazing how your two videos that you sent me to watch from his channel. One was him doing something on the table with pepper and the tea container, and he just showed it. And then he goes to the second video he posted using Jay Tolan's media, and the same thing happened there, using landscape. So it's just beautiful work you did there.
Oh yeah, that's the one with Jay Tolan. Yeah. I showed both effects. Then I showed them in real life. I showed them and I explained them, and then I showed them in real life. Because of Jay Tolan's elevation, his elevation is over 3,000 feet, and the furthest distance that he's using is 68 miles, and it's beyond the geometric horizon for a globe. Not that they have one, but their geometric horizon is beyond that point. So the reason I'm using those kind of things is that they don't have any explanation for these. These are the very things they would have called, like if they could have got away with it, they'd call that earth curve. That as he drops in elevation, that the mountains in behind the background mountains go over the cover of the earth. You know, that's what they would have said. Or the reason that the one mountain is smaller behind the other is because of earth curve and not some other reason. But it's not. It's just angular size change and the fact that he's making a parallel. I think what a lot of people don't realize about the optical drop is I understand it's a bit tricky to understand this point, but it actually 100% proves in real life that mean sea level is flat because all elevations are taken off of mean sea level. So if Jay Tolan's elevation is 3,100 or 3,200 feet, and he's looking at a mountain that's 4,900 feet in the distance, and the globe geometry can't deal with it, there's no answer for it, and he's looking way above the top of it, then that's right. That's the reason for that is optical drop. But that shows that he's making a visual parallel with mean sea level. And it's kind of hard for people to understand that. That part is a little tricky for people to understand. But that actually proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that mean sea level that is flat. The seas are flat, you know, regardless of undulations. But because he's looking straight ahead, he makes a point of making sure that he's looking straight ahead. He's not tilting his camera up or down. You can see that he has more sky, or there's more sky in his shot than there is ground because of optical drop. Because the mountains he's looking at are higher than him, and there's no globe explanation for it. And I can show it, demonstrate it, and detail it, and explain it. And I know exactly what's happening. He's making a parallel, a visual optical parallel with mean sea level. All those elevations are taken off of mean sea level. And where he is a very flat area anyway. But I just use mean sea level. You can use the surface of the earth, but mean sea level is better. But, you know, that's that. It's optical drop. And then as he goes down in elevation, it's obvious that it's visual occultation is happening. So there's no way around it. They don't have anything. All I'm doing is getting attacked in silly ways. And what's going on is the ballers are completely ignoring the real world ones. And they keep on wanting to talk to me about my demonstrations and how I probably tilted my camera up in the air. You know, this kind of nonsense. So that's what you're dealing with them.
I've spammed the link to
No.
that video. Just 1 second. So that video is called Jay Tolan Media 1 agrees with Brian's logic, I believe it's the title. Hold on, I'll just look it up so I make sure it's right. Yeah, Jay Tolan Media 1 supports Brian's logic. It's the name of the video. I've just put a link to it and pinned it in the public chant. So check it out. Go and subscribe today if you haven't already.
Thanks, Nathan.
Were they asserting a dip angle measurement as proof to you? Or
Well, in the past or this time?
this time?
Well, no, because of what optical drop is, a dip angle measurement, like the dip angle measurement thing, is nonsense because they'd have to show that the dip angle goes, because of optical drop, they can't assert that. Because all a dip angle is your horizontal, right? Optical horizontal is making a parallel with a horizontal at a different elevation, a lower elevation, and the two of them are measured with a vertical. So that's two horizontals and a vertical. There's many different ways. Like a dip angle, they don't have anything because I have too much. Even in the foreground at 53 miles, there's another mountain that's 400 feet smaller than the one that's at 68 miles. But the one at 68 miles is only half the height of it.
Well, the reason I asked that is because, that's the only measurement that really used to be claimed was the dip angle, and that's how you.
But they don't even they can't. There is no horizon in the shot. You see, they can't claim that anything because their horizon, what would be their mathematical geometric horizon, is beyond the distance for any hidden. So there's no hidden value. So they can't even do that. And I have a dip angle measurement. It's very, for anyone out there, when you hear this dip angle measurement, ask them to prove that it's gone down below mean sea level, because it has to go down below. Sorry, ask them to prove that it's gone down below horizontal mean sea level. That's I meant to say that, horizontal, because all these dip angle measurements, when you actually check them out, every single one of them, what are they? They're an angle from your elevation down. That's all they are. Down to the elevation that's on the ground or the water below you. So that's never going down below means horizontal mean sea level. Because for their globe, it has to go down below what would be your local horizontal mean sea level. But it never does. Ask any of them that. They'll just run.
Well, no, the reason I ask is because they're claiming a refracted horizon now. So, I just like to hear them squirm on that because they'll never address it again after they claim the horizon's refracted.
Well, they might come at me with that, but it's not going to go anywhere because they don't even have what they need to assert it. I don't know. I haven't heard that as an argument against it. But
I'm thinking, because I've heard what the ballers have said. I've heard what Danik has said and people like this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the whole, this is all an issue, quote unquote, because the Globers don't think that something that is in the distance should be below the midpoint of your eye level, or it shouldn't appear at the lower 50% of your vision. It should always be higher than you are tall.
Yeah.
Isn't that position?
Yeah. It should always be.
That's dumb as hell.
Yeah, it is. It can never go below your mid eye, your horizontal optical eye level. That's what they try and that's what they've been calling out for years.
Yeah, they don't mention anything to do with eye level other than what they assert in their side profile maths when angling your vision down.
Yeah, and they try and give you a straw man argument by bringing art perspective into the fray. All our perspective is that they take a horizontal line across the middle of a page or across the middle of a canvas, and they just paint kind of from the bottom to the top of that, from the bottom up to it, and from the top down to it. Like they try and use this art, but that's only for art. That's not for, and that's basically with somebody who is angling their vision slightly down, because when you look straight out ahead, when you look like, I mean, if you stand on a high elevation and you look straight ahead, or if you tilt your head down the way, you're going to have two different views. If you tilt your head down the way, you're going to see the land that's below you stretching out. But if you tilt your head up the way and look horizontal, you don't see as much of the land that's stretching out. In that famous photograph by that photographer Mark Brett, the one from the Pyrenees to the Alps, there's 275 miles. Because the mountains that he was trying to photograph in the distance were so small that and because of his elevation, that if he kept his camera looking directly horizontal, he would have just had some little blips at the bottom of his shot, and the rest would have been basically sky. So what he had to do is, if you look at that, he had to angle his camera down a bit so he could tuck in all the sea and everything below it. And then he got to see the mountains in the distance that were actually, I think he ended up with them that area 275 miles away, actually below above his midway horizontal, above the midway of his shot, and he had to do that. It's like the opposite of visual occultation. Whereas visual occultation, you end up with your vision being angled up the way. For him, he had to angle it down the way. And it's only because of the way perspective is. That's all it is, you know.
Yes, but what they strawman us with is what I call Mong trig, which is definitely not perspective. It's so dumbed down and crude. But they need to burn it because they can acquire angular sizes for things that they've acquired actual height values from Google Earth with its flat Earth representation with no drop. And from day 1 or 2 of this Blackpool Swan argument, we've said, well, why doesn't the model just show drop? What people are using to actually build stuff, not using the picture that the CGI rendering offers you when you go into the program, they use the measurements, and they're flat. You wouldn't need to make any conversions with a flat Earth angular size representation that you're going to burn as a straw man later and then convert it back into a side profile view to make your claim. It would just have drop in the model, and there isn't any. It's flat.
Yeah, I mean, after 6 years, Nathan, they just suddenly found a photograph that proves their claim after 6 years. And before that 6 years, we had a couple of 100 years of being told we're on a globe, and 6 years within the argument, they found suddenly a photograph. It's, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And they are completely ignoring the two. They completely ignored the two effects I show, and they will not address them. And all I'm getting, or the best I got out of them was, have you any calculations for that? You know what I mean? Calculations. What more do you want? You know, you didn't take them into account. You know, they always want to get, have you any maths that I can get, and then I can mess with those maths and match them to some other maths, and then show you how my maths were better than the maths you gave me, and see it's a globe. Because they need to somehow use maths to wrangle around as much as possible and twist and turn things as much as possible to then say it's a globe. Maths have nothing to do with reality. You know, what you see is what you see. It is what it is. Just like Nathan, like you say, right, clock 20 miles. It is what it is.
They need the math, Brian. They need the math because the globe could only work by calculation because it's not present in reality.
Right, you've got to make
Well,
a
it's measured.
whole bunch of assumptions.
It's measured flat, though, and they're trying to take a drawing and disprove the measurement. It's measured flat.
Yeah, it's measured flat, no drop. That's what it shows in the elevation profile. They then take that, apply a flat Earth straw man to acquire angular sizes, which they later burn as though it's our claim. But it's like, no, just show us the drop in the model. Oh, there isn't any. So there's no drop in the measurements people are actually using then? Well, then there's no drop. They'd notice.
Yeah, if we were on a globe Earth, we would notice. We'd know. We would have experienced that thing, wouldn't we? We would have experienced, the curve of the Earth and the rotation and all the rest of it. These things would have been noticed.
Yeah. One of the first things I remember seeing was Rory Cooper, who goes under the name My Perspective on YouTube. He's been around longer than I have in this subject. And one of the first things he did was show a representation of a hot air balloon raising off a flat plane and a hot air balloon raising off a sphere radius 3959 in his very eloquent CGI renderings of these two things. And you look at the two, you go, my God, it falls away pretty quickly, doesn't it, on a globe? And you go, yeah, yeah, it would. If you had physical geometry, it would be patently obvious to everyone, because you'd have the ground falling away from you, and it would get more severe as you raised in altitude, and it'd be really obvious, unlike what we actually see.
I remember that video, Nathan. It was excellent. Actually, that's one that needs to be revisited, because you know what? Several years ago, go back maybe 5-6 years ago, it was so simple people couldn't really take it in. Now it's an absolutely killer argument, because what he shows with the flat is exactly what we see in reality, and what he shows with the geometric horizon, globe's geometric horizon, is not what we see in reality when you're raising elevation.
Yeah, Rory Cooper was one of the people that immediately got to the cusp of the actual arguments immediately. As an example, Coriolis effect. He showed what would be the effect of Coriolis. Well, that would cause problems for planes because Earth would be turning underneath them. Here's a depiction. That's it. Showed it in CGI. You're like, can't be that simple, can it? Well, you move on 4 years when you've gone in and out the Coriolis argument with the conservation of angular or linear momentum being applied with radiance values that are now debunked by the Black Swan. You go through it and out the other end and go, so it is just as simple as the Earth should be turning underneath stuff and isn't, Rory. You got it spot on day one. Yeah, that's right. It is just that simple. We should see it as drift, and we don't. And that's what he showed in his videos. Same goes for Earth curve edge horizons. You just show the effect of what an Earth curve with radius 3959 would do if you actually experienced it. Someone else later during the Isle of Man came along with the model. They'd modelled it up. And they went, look, this... And he showed it me, and I'm like, wow, it's falling away really quickly. Are you sure that's right? And he's like, yeah, it would. It's a really small ball. What they describe Earth as is actually really small, and it'd be really obvious.
Yeah, I remember that what happened to Rory Cooper was in 2017. Not so much what happened to him, because he's been around since then. But I remember him modelling one of Miles Davis's photographs. Now, Miles Davis, his photographs, like famous photographs, the one that he shows from up near Scotland there, that one is just optical drop. It's visual occultation. Optical drop is all that's happening within that. And I tried to deal with Miles with that, and I just didn't have Rory's skills. And Rory wasn't aware of these things, and he didn't know me, and I didn't know him at the time. But he gave an explanation to what was going on in Miles Davis's video, and it was a good explanation as to what was going on with it. But because the ballers were all at the time claiming this was our curve, there was just one or two little points that he didn't really explain, and they came down on him like a ton of bricks because he was killing them with his CGIs. And every time he brought out a video after that, they just hounded him and hounded him and hounded him. Because that's all they do. They look for, when someone is causing them problems, they look for anything, the smallest thing possible, and they hound the person with it. Whether it be a mistake in their mathematics or something, they just character assassinate the person with it. And they just will, like hundreds of them will come to your channel and just attack you on every video about the maths equation you got wrong, or something stupid you didn't do right in a video previous. And that's what they did with him. They just basically done the man's head in. Right. That's probably why we don't see as much of him anymore.
Yeah, well, you've got a few people that will come out the other end and just go, sod this. It's too much. It's too stressful. I don't want to do it. I don't, what? It's not worth it. Other people like Arwin and myself and several others who I'm not going to list become battle hardened. And those sorts of ad hominem attacks or, personal attacks that they try and dig up on you, majoring on the minors, all those sorts of things, focusing on faux pas, just to degrade you as a person. Well, that might work on some, but it doesn't work on me anymore. It's, as I say, completely water off a duck's back. Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, you don't have a geometric physical sphere edge for a horizon as required by your globe Earth mathematics, is what I tell them in the comments. They say Nathan's dumb. And then rattle off some faux pas I've made. You go, okay. Meanwhile, you don't have a geometric horizon, though. And to me, that's the end of the argument. So who cares what you say about me?
Well, it's just like war, right? I mean, if they're smart, they're not going to go after the fodder. They're going to try to wear down and tear down the major players, aka the ones that really put the arguments together in a concise way. The ones that have videos, the ones that are producing content. If they can slow that production down, they don't have to worry about everyone else because most people won't do anything. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I remember watching all of these videos that made it so simple for me, like the one where it starts off with that music, that techno music, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. You don't see curvature of the earth. That stuff is flat. And then it shows Felix Baumgartner. Well, before that, it shows a simulation of how if you're working with a plane, it just continues to rise as you go up in elevation. But with the ball, it drops off super quick, like you said. And I got that right away. And I often ask myself, why is it that they don't, what is it about this that they don't accept? I never understood it. Do you know?
Well, it depends on what the argument. It depends on the argument that's taking place in the moment. So if it was a discussion about a geometric tangent point blocking the bottom of the Isle of Man, what they wouldn't accept in that moment would be perspective, to the point where they'd belittle us, tell us we've made up perspective, and relabel it flurfspective. So it depends what they're arguing. Whatever comes against their rhetoric will be what they deny, to the point of cognitive dissonance where they'll simultaneously hold two positions at the same time, in conflict with one another, and argue both positions, sometimes in the same breath. Very cognitively painful, but like I say, it entirely depends on what they're defending in the moment. They'll just disagree with anything that doesn't comport with their argument at that particular second.
Correct. They prioritize winning and psychological weight in the moment over actual long-term oversight and mechanics. That's what they do.
Yeah,
It's what happens, when you lose constantly. What else?
I gave props earlier because rather than focusing on the perceived win in terms of the discussion point that was, quote, won by John, or father of a stolen child, right? The perceived win is what they're going for. They haven't got any actual wins in the argument. So why bother restating what you could claim as your technical win? Because that will only weaken your position. Just claim the victory. And that's what John did. He got props for it because he's, on point in terms of baller behaviour in this regard. Doesn't matter that you haven't actually won the point. If there could be, from anyone, a perception of a win, claim it. And then move on quickly.
Mind if we switch gears a bit?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm looking at this video of Tolar Solar Eclipse, 1999. It was covered by BBC. And I posted it in the main chat, but basically at around the 78th second, when it's almost totally eclipsed, it's very faint. There's a very faint sliver of light of the sun, right? Just a very small, like, crescent sun from it being almost totally eclipsed. But then the next second, when it's totally eclipsed, there's a flash, and it's super bright all around the ring. And I'm just wondering what you guys think about that.
What do we think of an eclipse?
No, of the fact that it goes from a very faint, slim crescent sun to a flash and then like a very bright ring in like the space of a second.
Yeah, I know what you're describing. You're describing a total eclipse.
Weird.
That's a total eclipse.
Yeah.
That's the
Why wouldn't you
description.
expect that it would be a faint ring, just like it's a faint crescent? Why would it flash? It's almost like at the time that it totally eclipses, it's like refreshed or something. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it.
Maybe it's because it syncs up in some way, but that's still assuming that there actually some kind of physicality to it.
Right. Exactly.
I was waiting for that, Alwyn.
I was waiting. I thought that was going to go off into the weeds, but thank you, Alwyn. Thank you. Indeed, you've got to make certain assumptions about why it might be doing what it's doing with a description attached from the heliocentric world, or go, what the hell is the moon? What the hell is the sun? We don't know, therefore, how the hell are we going to explain an eclipse?
I'm not
That's what I
asking
was
for
going
any
to say.
explanation. I'm just
It's
like
I got a clue.
looking for
It's
some
just
people to
beautiful, isn't it?
co-sign that it's weird that you wouldn't expect it to just like flash. It's not, if it is a physical object like they claim and stuff, you would expect that it would just like that crescent would become more diffuse as it totally eclipses, and it would just be very faint all the way around, not just like suddenly flash. It's
Hold
weird.
on.
And
Well, what
this is-
could be said about it data-wise is that in that moment, an extra amount of light is manifested suddenly in circular fashion, or with a circle-like
okay.
holographic print of it. That's
The-
what's really happening now.
What's
Why
really
it
happening is,
happens?
well, hold on, that's not a description of what's happening. That's a description of, we're rehashing a description that is called a total eclipse, right? Let's just cut the crap about what it looks like and saying, I'll paraphrase what a total eclipse is and then say that's what it is. No, we're just ham-handedly describing a phenomena. That's all we're doing. Something occurs, we're just trying to describe how we see that occurrence. That's it. That's all we've got to go on. Literally, that's it. So, as you
Right.
just did, hold
Agree.
on, as you just did, you went, well, if I assume physicality, it wouldn't do this and it wouldn't do that. Yeah, but you've got to first assume the physicality to then say, well, it shouldn't be doing that based on my assumption of the physicality. It's like, this is nonsense. We don't know what it is. We don't know what either of those celestial bodies are. We just know what they are perceived to do to us. In that circumstance, a ring of light. Well, why would it do that? I don't know. I don't know what to expect from it, because I don't know what it is. Go ahead, Adam.
I wanted to check with Neil. Couldn't it be that flash of light as they both take up the same space in the firmament?
Don't have to answer that.
Oh, no, that's being retarded.
Yes, of course it is. It's flashing off the firmament.
No, like
Off
if you
the
get
firmament? No, inside the firmament.
Isn't it on the firmament? I'm sure I read somewhere on the firmament. You just misunderstand Hebrew.
But if I give you a decent enough poetic explanation, does that mean that the sun can violate the second law of thermodynamics now?
No, because that would violate the law, and the law wouldn't be a law anymore.
Right. So it doesn't matter what that flash is. It doesn't really prove anything either way.
No, not with the current explanation standing in direct violation of the second law of thermodynamics. So, no. Kind of meaningless to discuss, but it is interesting all the same. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What every
Light
light
tra-
source here
travels around
does
the
when you put
ring.
a lens in front of it.
Were you presenting, Adam? Did you want me to put something on?
Oh, I will when Elijah finished his point. Yeah, just a little tidbit from last night. Thought was interesting, but go on, Elijah. Sorry.
No, I was done. It's not like I know what the sun is or anything. Go ahead.
Well, before you proceed to move on, if I may, I had an interesting idea. I had it before about the solar eclipse. So it would be very interesting to explore the phenomenon of it deeper, right? Because there's already kind of maps as to where is the darkening happening over time and all that. We've seen the maps of that display, but how is the actual apparent shadow shape really formed? So has anybody ever, like in a straight line, rocket wise or airplane wise, tried to approach it like in the middle of the eclipse, see what happens when you get or where you go into that direction? Does the shadowing or the bright light effect change? Does the light ring get bigger? There might be all kinds of mysterious other sides to that singular phenomenon if you try to get up closer. I've seen some really interesting film footage from within an airplane filming the eclipse, and that already looked pretty weird.
I've got you presented, Adam.
Yeah, it was just a little bit from Brandon's last night. I know we've kind of stopped doing, but this was from Gleam. He's gone one step further into the kind of technical claims that I think Ruhif was making to substantiate. So he's gone to look at it, and he's gone to, I think it's called Scan Tips, and there's a guy that is just red hot on all this sort of stuff, and he brings a lot of stuff to the table. Some of the bit is with regards to lenses, focal length, sensor sizes, aspect ratios, they're all kind of approximate values even when they're stated. But the interesting line I thought from the expert was the last paragraph. The camera obviously achieves its camera purpose, but it simply is not a precision measuring instrument. Do not kid yourself when the calculator shows precision of a couple of decimal places. If you do need precision measuring, you should get a different instrument intended for the purpose.
Or like a theodolite or a sextant.
But he goes into great detail, this guy, showing some. I'll point you to it. It's a nice little summary from Gleam, but he's got a lot of stuff showing how even in this. Tested it on my house. Look from this way, in 77 inches tall, and it measured 79, so 2 inches out just from the bottom of your garden with stuff. So he's kind of explaining it all, but he does go to great detail, Gleam, just to show that he's done everything matched up with Ruhif and kind of disproves it. I want to watch it again properly because I caught it a bit last night, but I was laughing because Ruhif ran off twice, I think. So
props to Gleam for a comprehensive unpacking of Ruhif's utter nonsense, Mongtrig.
Yeah, it was. Let's say it wasn't the undoing; it was the fact he's gone to the detail of the experts and just dug out what the experts say, not what Ruhif claims you can do with this data. And that, I think, is the definitive point from it.
Leave it on screen. So just to repeat it, the camera obviously achieves its camera purpose, but it simply is not a precision measuring instrument.
Do not kid yourself when the calculator shows a precision of a couple of decimal places. If you need precision measuring, you should get a different instrument intended for the purpose.
Perfect.
Cool.
But Adam, doesn't that mean in terms of like calipers, like actual physical measurement and not necessarily like a calculation measurement where you would be using a calculator for?
I think he was saying here, if you're going to be measuring angles, yeah, that's what he was relating to. If you're going to try and pretend that you're measuring angles from a camera, Don't kid yourself that you can do it.
It gets worse,
Yeah.
doesn't it? If you're going to pretend that you're measuring the angle of this mountain, you're going to want to see the mountain, aren't you? Yeah? If you can't see the bottom of it, how are you supposed to even use the picture to get an angular size of it? It's absolutely absurd.
Didn't QE already comment on this, Adam, when he said if you're going to do it, you need the other LiDAR sextant?
Yes, yeah, that's kind of why I liked it. It's validation, not from our opinions, but actually from the experts of people that say this is how you could do it, but you need to graduate everything, basically, I think, to be able to draw inference from it. And you're only working in one distance. What you're not then trying to do is compare all the different lens effects to compare things at different distances and how they'd render.
Oh, you mean precisely as they're doing? And claiming that's how flat earthers would do it with perspective, to then later burn it?
Yeah.
Hey, Nathan, if I may ask, what ILO man photo are you talking about?
Was that a question? Say again.
What ILO man photo are you talking about? There's a couple of.
Any.
Well, I got one, and I actually talked to the photographer about it. So, I mean, I got more information.
Perfect. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I don't care which photo of a distant object we've got. None of them are ever going to prove sphericity, because the only way they ever did it was to beg the question and draw a tangent line to a horizon they haven't got anymore. So I'm not, apprehensive about any photograph. Bring them all on.
Correct. Yeah.
This photograph that
after
showed
doing all,
the turbines at 70 miles or something like that.
no, they're 45 miles away. They're about 8 miles away from Blackpool Tower. No, I did all the math, and Isle Man should be over 1,500 feet of drop. If you're talking about the one from Winter Hill, does that? So if you say that's curve, presuppose it's curve. Does that mountain look like it's 500 feet? There's no way that mountain's only 500 feet.
We get the image. Can someone grab it from Discord and stick it in Skype? Have a look. Is it your photo?
No, it's the Stephen Chantley Kirtley. Let me pull it up.
Stephen Cheatley, I think is the guy's name.
Stephen Cheatley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did all that.
I mean, good on you, but this is going to sound so horrible. It's not necessary. You're begging the question on their behalf. If Earth's a sphere, then there would be this much drop. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, right. But the tower, Blackpool Tower, is 544 feet. It's 25 miles from the observer, and from Blackpool Tower to the mountains is 65 miles away. So about roughly close to 3 times the distance. Yet they're claiming drop, and there's about roughly 500 feet shown of that mountain. How is the windmills and Blackpool Tower around the same height as that mountain, 3 times the distance? There's no way that's drop.
Right.
Yeah, weren't you showing that there was that where the geometric horizon should have been was like 45 miles or something, or I think it was something like that, wasn't it? And there's for their geometric horizon, and on the Brandon's a few nights ago, and they kept on whistling past it and looking for what was hidden, and they were told 2 or 3 times, no, you don't have a geometric horizon. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you hiding
anyway,
it with?
we'll see what's hidden. Yeah, let's avoid the reality.
Yeah, they want to do the maths anyway, right? Yeah, you haven't got a geometric horizon. Yeah, you can't do these maths. You haven't got a tangent anymore. You're claiming it's refracted. Let's just have a look at the hidden. Hello? 20 more times?
Exactly.
Hidden by what?
Desperate, always desperate to go to that hidden, and it's not just instinct. It's because it gains them, it gains them height. Basically, it diminishes the curvature, because it's like what Ruif does. Instead of the straw man the holders to go into the orthographic view and placing things where they are viewed orthographically. They don't go to that and place it orthographically on a ball. They go and place it orthographically based on how you would see it, based on the amount of hidden, which when you place it orthographically is no longer the ball earth. It's the 7/6R shaped earth. That's another reason they run there. First bit of shenanigans with the maths, and it's about gaining height. It's about cheating those numbers because, as you say, the actual reality is if you play it out on a ball, they're so much lower. They're gone. Some of them.
Yeah, you can see that the elevation's a little bit higher too, so it explains the Ranty photo as well. How you're not all is perspective; it's part of it. But when the floor will appear to ramp up, so they're looking up at the town, not looking overhead.
Well, I just want to point out that although you know this, it's not just so the audience get it. It's not the Ranty photo. He didn't take it. He has plenty chance. He's had plenty chances to take photographs like that, but he never took one. And they didn't take any visual effects into account with that photograph. It's, as far as I'm concerned, I want to say it, I've completely debunked that photograph. But they will not address visual occultation or optical drop, because as soon as they do, all their photographs go down the drain. But they won't do it. And as you said, it's the first thing I looked at when I saw this photo. You posted this photo, I think, about a week ago or something on Brandon's. The first thing I looked at was the height of the camera. Look at the difference when you change the location and change the height. Okay, you're a lot closer to the Blackpool Tower, the closer to the Blackpool Tower, but the height difference changes everything. Completely different view.
I mean, that might be a worthy point to come up with the actual list itself, because there's a whole bunch of things that they've not done. I mean, we've covered in this show the fact that the Mong trig they're burning as a flat Earth straw man isn't in their perspective hijacking Earth curve mathematics to begin with. It's all done in orthographic view. Now, while they might try and calculate out that away from their calculator a hidden value to assert when using their Mong trig, it doesn't alter the fact that they don't actually have it in their maths. They've got to supplement their maths with it whilst avoiding the geometric horizon. But, I think today I actually released the shorter version of my list of things for cats. Number one, where are the observer heights? Why haven't we got a solid, this is the observation height, given it's critical to their argument? And their straw man they're burning. Now, at the time I made that video, it was 4. I think it's up to 6 now. Because Bev came along and said, no, to match the image, you've got to get up higher. Here's where I took my image that matches it from. And this is at X height. I've forgotten what he said now. But nevertheless, there was someone else, I can't remember who, might have even been Ruhif or Ranty, who gave another height. So we ended up with 6 heights for this observation of Blackpool Tower. So you go, okay, right, so we've got 6 heights. Where's the model? Day 2, we were into showing you the model that you're also extracting out information from it, 4 heights in orthographic view, but that representation's flat in Google Earth. It was relinquished a long time ago. Now, I am in no doubt whatsoever that nobody on their side has addressed the elephant in the room, which is the black swan. Am I wrong? Has that actually been addressed for this argument yet? The fact that it's a black swan?
No.
Right, so still on the list. What about the... No, we covered this in this show. Adam did a really good job already. I won't do my mounting at the top, far away, mounting at the bottom, close. Adam's done an exceptional job of covering that part of the list on this show. But yeah, the lack of geometric horizon, in terms of their assertions, that's the thing they're trying to prove. That's still on the list. The lack of R, we've debunked it with the very picture they're using. We can use that to make the argument it's a black swan. You don't have an R value. It's been debunked. Not only has it debunked the R value in the first instance, every claim that used a geometric horizon, i.e. the Isle of Man debate, are also completely voided. Totally debunked. Hence Rumpus having his head recently chopped off as a result of that. So yeah, no Mong trig in the maths we've covered. What else is there? Yeah, all of the Earth curve maths are essentially void as a result of Cat's image. Has anybody on their side addressed that? The most critical part of the argument, that would be.
No, but I did hear one of them say that we are denying optics.
Oh, priceless. Oh, yeah, well, we just throw it straight back at them. We're denying what? Fleur perspective? No, your model's geometric. It doesn't need that. Do we need to trim out a few clips of people telling us how it's geometric and why we wouldn't need Fleur perspective? Why would you need that? I think you guys made that up. Optical effects, we've got geometry, they cried, until it was debunked by the Black Swan. And what about the top two, the first things that we addressed? The fact that it's a not only cherry-picking fallacy, they've cropped the image, also it's a straw man fallacy. I've mentioned it several times, but it's on the list. Have they actually addressed the fact that we're pointing out how they're burning a straw man? We don't claim this. This isn't our optics. I was quick to point out Life is Short and his presentations that took hours and hours and hours because there's so much to go into it. Not their Mong trick. Have they addressed their own straw man yet? Have they addressed any of this? Is the list exactly as it was? Other than being 6 heights now.
I raised this with Ranty and Jim Panda a couple days ago, and they were all arguing that the Black Swan is only when you're at 1 foot observer height. And because this Blackpool image is shot from, say, 6 feet or 12 feet or whatever it is, it can't be a Black Swan because it's now higher so you can see further, and therefore the horizon shouldn't be where the Black Swan would presuppose it to be. It was...
Wow, they're idiots.
They are idiots, yeah. It's part of the argument. It's in the Modus Tollens statement. If the Earth is a sphere radius 3959, then every distance to horizon can be no more than, wait for it, Gem Panda, 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So what, because he's higher? No. You complete idiots. After 18 months, they don't even know the Modus Tollens. To repeat it, if they could repeat it, they'd realise that what a stupid statement when Modus Tollens contains the observer's height in feet as part of the statement. Oh, well, because it's higher.
Exactly.
These people are thick. It's embarrassing.
No, it's worse than that. They even in that statement admit that there is an exception out there. Because there have been photos like that. Remember? The one directly onto the water level, pretty much. That was a Black Swan. It's basically admitted in the statement that that even already exists and doing the entire thing.
Any image can be a Black Swan. Sorry, go on.
This is funny because they have the Black Swan isn't just the original video. Like there's one that's later in the evening where the observer's height is 8 foot. What are they talking about? The horizon is still 3 times too far.
They're morons.
They don't understand the Modus Tollens. They couldn't. Initially, we were 6 months in saying, can you even repeat it? And then, obviously, they've not come back since to challenge them and say, can you actually repeat it now, 18 months later? And I now know the answer. No, they can't even repeat the argument after 18 months because they're saying the height of the observer invalidates that as a Black Swan when part of the Modus Tollens contains the statement that it's dependent on the observer's height. Oh my God, thick.
You can't use a Black Swan. It's 1 in 1 foot, Nathan.
That's why I said I'd like to hear a baller actually repeat the Modus Tollens because I've not heard one yet.
Oh, I have. Mr. Sensible repeated it, paraphrased it back to Mitchell from Australia, and then made the logical leap that would debunk the radius.
Yep. Yeah. But they don't want to say it because they know what it means. Painful. We discussed this before.
And how many hundreds of times Nathan's gone through that example of put 1 brick at so many miles away and then stack the 100 bricks on top of that 1 brick. You know, Ranty's been involved in this whole bottom-up occlusion where there's magnification, so it sort of cuts off a bit of the base of the image, whether it was a ship going out to sea that Ranty took thousands of videos on or whatever. We've always discussed this. Then Nathan went for at least 18 months trying to explain to these ballers that you still get the same bottom-up occlusion even on a flat surface. And now they bring out this thing where there's a bottom occlusion and they start standing there with their fingers up saying, you know, haha, we got you. Morons.
Yes, they're idiots.
You just reminded me. With the whole perspective thing, I'm sure someone out there, all of you fans out there, if you can dig up a video where someone is shouting at Ranty that he's using perspective, that would be gold.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be one. There's plenty of hours. So, yeah, I'm sure someone can dig it out during the Isle of Man discussion. Show 60 through 150, 160, maybe even more, higher than that, probably up to a couple of hundred. There's plenty
So
of hours.
hold on, I'm gonna be right here because I said they'll never get the Black Swan. So I think I'm gonna be right.
Well, you end up being John. You get the Black Swan, you go, well, they can't measure Earth a sphere then. That's their claim. So their claim fails. Oh dear. So the claim of a sphere Earth fails. That's the conclusion. At best, you've debunked the radius value. Yeah, every single assertion of a sphere Earth claim to prove it starts with that very presupposition. So if you're to say that it's debunked, that's in essence debunking everything that your model and religion is based on.
But that's why they misquote it, and they don't repeat it correctly when they address it. They have to distort it.
Yeah, because if you don't
Or you'll
distort
say
it
stuff
and
like-
you understand the implications, which is a logical consistency that the Earth's not a sphere. Well, that's going to be painful to even repeat.
How about the
And
one guy,
they leap-
Nathan? I remember I was getting my car fixed, and the guy made you go through it right to the end. The Earth can no longer be a sphere of 3959.
Yeah.
But Nathan, they made it out. The leap of logic was that when you bring the camera down to 1 foot, it's like where there's the most vapor, so you're going to get the most refraction, and that's why the Black Swan is 10 times. It's like, oh.
Well, again, in their rebuttal, they're debunking their own assertion because their requirement is a geometric horizon. So they're saying, well, if you get low enough, there's the most amount of refraction, therefore you can't see the geometric horizon. It's a paraphrasing of their original rebuttal. But saying that the horizon is refracted is the debunking of Earth as a sphere, because that is the claim. That is Earth curve. So what? We can't see Earth curve if we get low enough? Yeah. Welcome to Flat Earth is the response to that. With that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, or joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.